the purpose behind the book. Purpose behind the book was to give a little bit more understanding of what we do as a business. There's a lot of stuff about our business in there, how we kind of operate, and to help others be more successful in the serviced accommodation arena. I think one of the main concerns that we have in serviced accommodation is when people, that don't really know the industry, they hear of Airbnb, they resort to, as soon as you talk about that, they think it's just antisocial behaviour, parties, stag do's, hen do's, or whatever you want to call them. People just becoming a nuisance in people's houses or next door to people's houses. And I think there was an element of trying to build out a process for people to run serviced accommodation in a professional, business-like manner. The second part of it was to kind of, help people build businesses rather than it just be a property strategy, because there's a lot more behind it than just, having guests in a house. There's so much more behind it with all sorts of different systems and automation and just running a professional business. And then at the end of that, it's, there's a reason for the book. It's to make us more visible to people and to for people to look up our training courses and what we do and help others grow as we have grown in the last sort of 4.5 to 5 years.
And that's an interesting question. Sorry, I never have a complete path. It's whenever I hear something. But what do you most enjoy? So if you could get up each day, what part of the business is it? Like the training? Is it sales? What if you could do something all day, every day? Would it be one thing, or is it always an array?
Great question. So I love selling. Selling is my passion. I was actually in a job before this for 15 years as an operations manager, then director, and I was just completely in the wrong job for years. And until I got into my own business and started selling, I was always selling myself as an operations manager, director, but once I started doing my own thing and selling myself, it was just a whole new ball game for me. And I absolutely love that part of the sale where you the relationship piece, the sell, the actually getting the revenue and creating relationships with people. And on that, the other side of things was building teams and relationships with managers or directors or wherever that might be. So for me, the main two areas that I really enjoy, that I get up every day, is one, to sell, two, to build relationships and develop people. And I think that's where the kind of training side of things comes in as well. There's nothing better in my eyes or in my book than taking on a new student, giving them the tools to be successful, and then watching them grow. I can't think of anything more rewarding than that.
Yeah, amazing. No, absolutely love that. And and interestingly, selling is the whole premise. I remember when I worked for L'Oreal, I remember that it kind of seemed a bit revolutionary in those days, that you would go have a meeting to find out what their needs were and then kind of fulfill those needs. And it was kind of like, you didn't go in, the old, going in and just selling. It was like, no, it needs to be, a building of a relationship. And that was kind of quite a new thing for me when I first started out in business. It was, you just thought sales, that you rocked up with a nice lipstick and you just told them that it was great and all the benefits of it. Whereas, what we really learned and actually enabled me to do some really big stuff, actually. I was only looking after some of the really small grocery chains like Waitrose and Summerfield and stuff. But because I really took that on board. I'm a real voracious, what I'm told, I'll just go on and do it. And, I managed to get some really massive kind of deals with those supermarkets because I really, really worked out what it was that they needed. So that whole kind of selling and building relationships is just all intertwined, isn't it? So you can see that is a sort of a key thing for you.
I absolutely agree. I'm dying to talk about this because it means it relates to me so much. And we've got a module in our training academy as well, where we go through what I call the 7-stage sales cycle. which essentially is just a sales cycle for any bit, work in any business. And it's just applied to serviced accommodation. One of the things that we do in there is building relationships and call it understanding the pain points of the client. So look, once you understand the pain points of that particular person or the client or the customer, then you know what to do to solve, and you just become a problem solver, right? And that's what selling for me is all about: building a relationship, understanding what they need or what would take away any sort of pain from them, put a solution in place, and get the sale.
And it's often
that sounds really simple.
Well, it can be, but often it's not actually the product that is the sale, is it, so to speak? I know that sounds crazy, but actually, if you've solved a problem and it happens to involve your product, then fantastic. But it could be anything as long as it solves their problem. And I think that sometimes when we come with a specific product, we're so indoctrinated in considering that product that we tend to forget all the other things. And that's what I love certainly about being in business and being an entrepreneur. Is like you've said, it's all about problem solving. And who is it, the lady that's I can't remember her name, shopping.com, and she says, I just eat problems for breakfast. And that's just great. I love that. There's no kind of like, oh, why has that happened? Oh, woe me, this is terrible. It's kind of like, problem, let's just find the solution. And then afterwards, if we want to come back and make sure that that problem maybe doesn't spring up again, of course we want to come back and analyze it. But it's, there's no kind of like, where's the issue here? It's like, find the solution and see what we can do to help them. So yeah, I absolutely love that. So are we able to hear any more of these 7 stages of sales cycle? Is there another particular part that might be really helpful to people?
Well, I'm not sure if I can share too much.
Or just in general, Dave.
Well, look, there's a number of stages to the book. I'll try and remember them off the top of my head. So there's the find your serviced accommodation area. There's setting up your unit, so how to set it up compliantly from a design perspective, and also to be compliant with regulations that are coming in now or likely to in the future, and we're trying to plan ahead for that. So we've got a marketing one. So basically, once you've got your serviced accommodation unit set up, then you've got to sell it, right? You've got to be able to get it out there onto the platforms. It's got to look right, how to do that properly. There's an art in that in itself. So we go through a module on how to do that and how to market your property in the most efficient way or effective way. There's a better word. And then, there's a small, when you're smaller, so they got 1 or 2 units, you need different kind of setups to what you would need as a 7-figure business. So we kind of give you a smaller size business setup, and then we move on to kind of like a larger size setup, which involves kind of more automation, systemization, using different kind of applications to run your business from anywhere in the world, as long as you've got a 3G connection. And then we go on to teach you how to recruit the right people, and how to do that by recruiting virtual assistants. We've got a whole module on how to do that effectively. And, because one of the main things is you don't want, one of the main things, in my personal opinion, you want your business to kind of be set up and then to run, and you to be working on your business, not in it. You don't want to be doing the day-to-day tasks that times that. You want to be working on how you can grow your business, where your next sale is going to come from, where's your development coming from, what are the things that are going to grow that business to the size that you want it to be. So we go through all that sort of stuff as well. So hopefully that gives you that scratches the surface of some of the stuff that we've got coming up in the book.
Amazing. I love all that. And it reminds me, I'll have to speak to you a bit more about VA recruitment, because I run a very useful business helping people recruit VAs as well if they want it a simple way as well.